when you talk about how these series came to a head and what has been happening in this postseason for the Yanks, offensively, it hasn't been Aaron Judge.
Baseball is such a big win here. All you ask for, East Coast Monster City, West Coast Monster City, the biggest of biggest Titan superstars on both sides here, two mammoth fan bases. The entire country can buy into this one.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Welcome back into Pro Football Today. I'm Kevin Walsh. I'm joined, of course, by Donnie Rightside and Joe Lisi. We're now also joined by NFL insider Adam Kaplan. Cap, great to talk to you. A busy time here within the NFL news cycle with the trade deadline approaching. What's the latest you're hearing as we get closer and closer to the cutoff?
Yeah, and guys, I've told you the last 2 or 3 weeks, I'm expecting more receivers to be dealt, right? We know the last one of note was the Amari Cooper trade. I'm expecting 2 to 4 receivers to still be traded. Why? It's kind of odd. It's usually running backs or edge rushers or corners that teams are looking for, but there are a lot of teams like the Commanders. Okay, if you look at the list of teams looking for receivers, the Chiefs got their guy in Hopkins this week, by the way. That was kind of more of a minor trade, but the Steelers, by the way, the Steelers are really, really looking for receiver help. Opposite George Pickens. There are 3 to 4 teams are still looking for receivers that know that they're going to make a playoff push. That's the position to look at. And if you look at my notes that I sent you, there are teams also bailing on the season, like the Panthers. Deontay Johnson is the top guy to most likely be moved as we get closer to November 5th. He's on an expiring contract. Teams like that they don't have the commitment past the season. Yes, he's looking for a new deal, but he also knows he needs to be somewhere to play well so he can get that new deal. And I would expect him to go to a team that, if he's traded, which I think there's a high percentage of, where that team's got a good chance of the playoffs, and knowing that they need a receiver to make that final push. No, by the way, I don't see him go back to Pittsburgh, however.
Kev, we keep it here talking about the New York Jets and wide receivers. Mike Williams certainly will be on that trading block, but also, can you fill us in here? Coming back, a top pass rusher, Hassan Reddick, is going to play today. What also captures his contract and what some of his demands were? And also, who won that, by the way?
Yeah, and look, Donnie, let's start with Reddick. He got a revised 1-year deal. He got over the fine number. I haven't seen the final. The contract was just filed. I haven't got it yet. But from what I understand, you can't rescind the fines, to be clear. You can't do that anymore. But you could redo it where you're paying over the fine number. But we'll get a look at what Drew Rosenhaus did with the contract, Donnie. But look, the big thing for the Jets is you've got Reddick in now. Remember, they lost Jermaine Johnson, their star pass rusher, due to the torn Achilles from earlier this season. So, in a sense, he's going to replace him. Now, Mike Williams, he's available. It's not a secret. Now, here's an interesting note I was told earlier this week. The Steelers, by the way, before he signed with the Jets, he had a free agent visit, I'm told, set up with the Steelers. So keep an eye on the Steelers as they look to add wide receiver help as we go forward. Because right now, look, the Jets have enough depth at receiver. They don't need Mike Williams, who's on a 1-year deal. They've got other issues as we speak. But, they're also, guys, they're down 3 safeties today, guys. The Jets have a lot of injuries on their back end, but they're going to get their nickel cornerback, Michael Carter, back this week from his injury. But that does concern me with the Jets. But let's face it, they're facing a really bad Patriots team. The one good game, really good game that Aaron Rodgers had was done earlier against those said Patriots. So this is a game they clearly should win. But the Jets are looking to make that final push. Now, they don't really, again, they're good at receiver, the Jets. They don't need that. They got Reddick to report. I give the Jets credit for figuring out a way with Drew Rosenhaus to make this work. This is an absolute must-win. I hate to say it, but their season comes down to today. They cannot compete if they don't win today.
Cap, another team, Tampa Bay, they lost their two-star wide receivers, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. They're going to go with the rookies, Jalen McMillan today, Trey Palmer as well. But, I'll give you another question as well. We heard that Cooper Kupp was on the trading block potentially prior to that victory on Thursday night. Would the Bucs be an option? Like, would they buy into maybe a veteran wide receiver like Kupp? And what are they going to do big picture?
All right, Joe, let's start with Cooper Kupp. His salary is too big for clubs. I know for a fact that the Rams, though the Rams, it's funny. They've acknowledged that teams have called about Kupp, but they want teams to know that they're not aggressive. They're not trying to move the player, and that's fine. But had they not won this past game, that's a different story. But the bottom line is they're looking to keep Kupp right now. I don't doubt what Sean McVay said. You saw how their offense took off with Puka Nacua returning and, of course, Kupp from his high ankle sprain. But when you look at the Tampa Bay Bucs here, they have to do something at receiver. We'll add them to the list, a team that's going to have to be active at the trade deadline. Now, McMillan is a third-round pick out of University of Washington. They really like him. He had started the season as their number 3 receiver, and they're a heavy, what we call, Joe, 11 personnel team. 3 receivers, 1 back, 1 tight end. But I agree with your point, which you brought up before I got on here. You're down your 2-star receivers. They're very deep at tight end. That's why Cade Otton now becomes a featured pass target for Baker Mayfield, who, by the way, is leading the NFL with a career high at this point of 18 touchdowns. I mean, this is the most he's had through this number of games. This is incredible the way he's playing, but they're going to have to change it up. By the way, Bucky Irving is active today with that foot injury. So you've seen them kind of have this 3-man rotation at running back now. They're going to continue to do that, but they're not going to be able to go with 11 personnel. I would agree with you there. Cade Otton for fantasy, by the way, that's the guy to look at going forward here as we go forward for the Bucs passing game.
Cap, with the quarterback situation in Miami having been such a disaster, I imagine there's a lot of excitement that Tua Tagovailoa is back. There was also a lot of conversation around his decision not to wear the Guardian cap. I just found it a little odd. It's a personal thing, and we'll leave it at that. Have you heard anything about that? Has there been any reaction from the league about Tua's decision?
Yeah, okay, so here's the thing, Kevin. You can't force a guy to wear it. By the way, the Bucs right tackle, who was coming back from a concussion, you saw him wear it, the Guardian cap in game. We're seeing a little bit, not very many. We're seeing a little bit now. And by the way, in training camp, you're required to wear it if you've had a concussion. But here they're not requiring it yet. Now this could be a movement to do it. But look, they'd like him to do it. They like any players come back from a concussion to do it or consider it. But sometimes it's funny talking to agents. Sometimes it's a fashion statement. They don't like the way it looks, or they're not used to it. But here's the thing, though, when we talk about Tua, Kevin, he's felt great for a while, several weeks. But there is a belief around the league: the longer you stay out from a concussion, the better you are off long term, because it's a brain injury. Let's call it like it is. It's a brain injury. And the longer you're away from not getting contact on your head, the better off you are. But this is a team right now, as we flip it forward here, against a very competitive Cardinal team, not very talented, but very competitive. This is a game the Dolphins know that they have to win. They're another team. Forget about the division race. It's about trying to get a wild card. I mean, who would have thought Denver 4-3 would right now be in the playoffs if we started today? But that's a team that I think these teams like the Dolphins and the Jets could catch. But it starts today. They got to play better.
Adam, if we take a look also, the trade deadline is coming up, and for so many years growing up, nobody made any deals. The question I want to ask you is, we look at like the Los Angeles Rams. Are some teams having these conversations right now where they're saying, if I trade a guy, based on a win or a loss this week, because I do believe Cooper Kupp was still on the trade block. I'm not sure if he is now. But how do teams approach the next week here? Is there really some teams saying, if we win this weekend, we might be buyers as opposed to be sellers?
And Donnie, what you just said is why the trade deadline several years ago was moved back 2 to 3 weeks. Because GMs are like, listen, we need more time. We don't know. Are we a seller or a buyer? Are we standing pat? And they got those extra weeks to do it until early November instead of mid to late October. So, yeah, there are teams, because it happens. It does happen every year where they go, hey, wait a minute. call us back. We have to decide what we're going to do. We need to see if we're going to win here. Yes, that absolutely happens. I would still, on your point with, I'm not saying Cooper Kupp in particular, but teams that are hovering around 4-3 and 3-4. And by the way, the Bengals with T. Higgins, they say they're not shopping him, but he's on the final year of his deal. By the way, he's not playing today due to that quadriceps injury. I know the Bengals, talking to people around the league, they don't like trading. They're one of the teams that rarely trades, but they drafted Jermaine Burton, a third round out of Alabama. Of Yoshevis, who's going to probably play a lot today out of Princeton, who was a 6th-round pick last year. T. Higgins' future is clouded past this season. When you don't know what you're doing with that player and you know that he doesn't have a future, that's when, if you think you're not going to make the playoffs, you're more apt to trade him.
All right, hear you there, Cap. Appreciate it as always. That is NFL insider Adam Kaplan join us on SportsGrid. Coming up next, the Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, and the folks over at SixScore.com will help us get set up for another Sunday slate here in the NFL. Who's in, who's out? What does it mean moving forward? The T. Higgins surprise. We will get to it all with you after this break on Pro Football Today.
When you talk about how these series came to a head and what has been happening in this postseason for the Yanks, offensively, it hasn't been Aaron Judge.
Baseball is such a big win here. All you ask for, East Coast Monster City, West Coast Monster City, the biggest of biggest Titan superstars on both sides here, 2 mammoth fan bases. The entire country can buy into this one.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back right here. It's Pro Football Today. Kevin Walsh, Donnie Rightside, and Joe Lisi. We're now joined by the Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow. Make sure you head over to SixScore.com, where you get all the injury information and analysis to help you make these bets. There's even in-game updates that can be made. So, Doc, I'll bring you in because people are wondering, and I know you've got the answer. World Series style, the Shohei Ohtani outlook is what?
Well, he subluxed, transiently dislocated his left shoulder on the slide. He's a right-handed pitcher, but he's not pitching, though not a big deal, but a left-handed hitter, which actually helps that it's his left shoulder. So there's hope that he could try and play through, but let me tell you, he subluxed his shoulder, worried for a labral tear. And for the Dodgers, the best news is they're up 2-0, right? I mean, but that's a significant left shoulder injury. It's not a nothing burger that Dave Roberts is trying to make it out to be.
Yeah, that's a lot of coach speak there. Now, we will get to the football, but let me also remind you, if you go to sixscore.com/picks and use the promo code SportsGrid, you get a free week of sick picks, which have been fantastic this season, hitting at over 60%. So let's try and find, Doc, where some of the mismatches are. And I tell you, I was looking, you know me, I like the grades. I like the green. I like the red. Carolina, Denver. Doc, we had about a 20-point advantage in favor of Denver. Tell me what you saw here.
Well, first of all, the boys in the room and whatever, they were hot yesterday on NHL, NBA, and college football. They were 16-8. So if you signed up for the free week of sick picks, you already were taking advantage. And look, I get it. It's Denver. It's Bo Nix. It's a big lay. I get it. We almost would prefer Andy Dalton playing where the number would be sub 10. Now it's over 10, right, with Bryce Young. But here's the deal. They're injured. They're injured all over the place, the Panthers, and they have been for a while. You're showing their offense there, and they're injured on the defensive side too. And so it's one of our strongest numbers plays in terms of injury differential. Our only worry is that, with Bryce Young starting, we would have preferred Andy Dalton, and it would have been the same injury differential here. But, the line moves so much with Bryce Young being the starter.
Doc, Baltimore Ravens.
And by the way, we do believe that's a hiding behind health issue. Is Andy Dalton's thumb injured? Yes, it was the car accident. Was it the airbag? Was it steering wheel? Something? Who knows? But it's not a Drew Brees ulnar collateral ligament where he needs surgery. The Panthers want to play Bryce Young. Why?
Yeah.
They want to see what they have, and then maybe showcase him for a trade deadline move here. It's a little bit hiding behind health.
If we are taking a look at another game in the AFC, Doc, Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns. We saw Deshaun Watson get injured, now out for the year. In steps Jameis Winston, but they got a lot of issues as well. Talk to us about the Cleveland Browns, particularly on the offensive side of the football.
Cleveland Browns have not started the same offensive line all season, and that continues again today. Nick Chubb still is not healthy. I mean, he didn't do much last week. Jerome Ford's still out. Look, Jameis Winston, Deshaun Watson had been playing well. Jameis Winston, an upgrade? Maybe. Is it 30 for 30, Jameis Winston? I don't know, right? And he's relatively new. It's curious to us that he's the starter. But last week, he was the number 3. DTR was the number 2 last week. So that's an interesting turn of events. On the other side of the ball, Zay Flowers is not 100% with his high ankle. Marlon Humphreys is not going to play. Nate Wiggins didn't make the trip, but Arthur Mollett is back off IR, the other corner.
Doc, let's look at the matchup in Washington. You got Caleb Williams in Chicago on the road. They have a 6 score of 90, and we know that Jaden Daniels did get injured last week. They're saying he's going to play, but you have a 6 score of 83. Tell us what you see out of Jaden Daniels in this matchup. Is he going to play, and will he be effective?
I've said all week there's lots of reasons for him not to play. From not getting the rookie more injured to having Marcus Mariota, but also because no practice all week except for an LP on Friday. I mean, look, Justin Herbert in 2022 played through rib cartilage that he hurt against Kansas City the first game of the year and didn't play very well. Here's a rookie. Even if he plays, I don't know that he plays that well. And in terms of the other matchups out there, the Bears have a really good defense. Montez Sweat, quote, revenge game against a backup left tackle. And Washington Commanders have injuries on the D line, Hines, et cetera, that were not exposed last week. Jonathan Allen, who were not exposed last week against the Panthers, and the Bears can run the ball. So whether Daniels plays or not doesn't make that big of a difference to us here.
We were talking about how Jaden Daniels might perform. Like, would the coaching staff put him out there if he was medically cleared to play? Would they limit his rushing attempts in this matchup, or if he's playing, would he just be 100%? The full playbook is at his capability because he was cleared to play in this matchup.
Well, when you're cleared to play, and I believe he can play. Will he play is still up to question. I get the signs are pointing towards yes here. But, Look, I've been there on the sidelines before. One time with Antonio Gates, the coaching staff said, "We got to have him. We got to have him. How about 15 red zone snaps?" And we're like, "Okay." And the next thing you know, in the first quarter, I look at the head athletic trainer. I think he's been in for 20 plays already. And once you give them their helmet, what are you going to do, right? So you can say all you want that you're going to limit Jaden Daniels, but he's going to do what he does when he gets out onto the field. But that also means he's potentially one play away from being out again if he gets hit again.
Doc, quickly before we let you out of here, how do you and the guys at SixScore.com feel about the Niners, Deebo Samuel and George Kittle going in this game and how effective they can be?
Kittle's going to go. He always goes. Will he block more than pass catch routes? Maybe. Deebo, look, when's the last time, guys, that you saw a guy leave a game for illness? When's the last time you saw a professional athlete be hospitalized for illness? Both happen to Deebo. He's going to play, but I don't see it being 70 plays. He's going to have limited touches and limited snaps.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to watch play out. Certainly a big game. Again, SixScore.com/picks, promo code SportsGrid. Maybe you are out there already cleaning up on the NBA, the NHL. We'll clean up again with the NFL. Doc, we appreciate it as always. Sell me something. Feels like a good one brewing in the air.
You talk about how these series came to a head and what has been happening in this postseason for the Yanks. Offensively, it hasn't been Aaron Judge.
Baseball is such a big win here. All you ask for, East Coast Monster City, West Coast Monster City, the biggest of biggest Titan superstars on both sides here, two mammoth fan bases. The entire country can buy into this one.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
What do you say? A little sell me something time here on SportsGrid. Scanning. Interesting options. I don't know. I wonder if we have to find a fourth. I don't know. It just we might need more. Nobody's in the 10-1 market yet here.
Oh.
You were tossing on a 400-1 or something like that?
Every team in the 1 o'clock hour rushing touchdown. So if I ask you that question, like who burns you?
Should we go through it quick?
Let's get so.
Come on,
we have some time. We got some time.
We got plenty
who
of time.
Who doesn't rush for a touchdown at 1 o'clock?
Eagles, Bengals? Cincy right off the bat. Come on. Probably
they're
score a touchdown.
They probably
All
Joe
right.
Burrow from 15 yards.
Browns, Ravens?
Atlanta Might not.
I'll stop.
I'm serious.
How about this? Tampa Bay doesn't, just to make you happy.
All right. You know I have Bucky.
Donnie, man, anyone jump off the page to you that's not getting in the end zone?
Look right here.
I don't know. If Donnie likes to hold on a minute now. Could be a 400-1. Sell me something, Donnie. Be the guy.
You know, Tanks.
Tennessee would burn us.
Nick Chubb on the goal line,
too
power
predictable.
through.
What do you mean?
Too predictable.
Tennessee doesn't burn us?
You know who?
I'll tell you who it is.
I'm going to tell you the first running back in the end zone today. Tony Pollard. Boom.
Ooh, Donnie.
Wow.
First drive.
Bet it now.
I looked at the passing touchdown market, but you could already tell that Kyler Murray's desperate to not even throw one. I can just feel it in the air. After
Too small to throw.
burned me on a Monday nighter. All right, speaking of throwing touchdowns here, Bryce Young, he's not done a lot of that in his career, Lisi, yet you like him to step up.
I do. Getting a reset, taking over for Andy Dalton. I know it's an above-average defense in Denver. They abused Spencer Rattler on that Thursday night, but this is an opportunity to show out. Not 170, not 175, not 200, 210, 2.25, guys, for plus 5, 6. Look at that price. Juicy. Act now.
Man,
Donnie.
plus 5,
Act
60
now.
at this point.
We're taking the first.
We've only got
callers.
13 Bryce Youngs left. You got to call in quickly and get this deal at this point. It's going quickly here. Plus
That's
5
it.
price.
What do you
Not
think?
going to last.
You don't like that?
Here's what I like about it. They're going to be losing this football game. My question is they going to let him play the third and fourth quarter?
They lose every. You can't. Listen,
That's what I'm saying.
I know you like that for all the justification. Donnie, he loses every football
Now, this
game.
guy might look like Connor Wegman today. I don't know, man.
Don't get us started.
By the way, who's backing him up?
Marcel
Who's the
Reed.
backup?
Marcel Reed.
Who's the backup to? No, not A&M.
You're talking college football.
Who's back? Do we know who's backing him up?
I'll try and find.
My good, it can't be. It can't be good at this point.
What are you worried about the backup getting in? That's not going to be a thing.
Well, I'm saying, like, if the backup is just so ridiculous that maybe he does play the whole game regardless of the final
Jack
score.
Plummer.
Oh,
Wow.
Jack Plummer, Louisville and
come
Purdue.
on now. If you can't hold off Jack Plummer today, I don't know what to tell you. All right, let's go to wide receivers again. I mean, it just seems like pass catchers all across. Jameis Winston's going to play. That is fantastic for both teams. He's going to throw touchdowns. Let it be known. He's going to throw interceptions. You know who actually can wake up out of his coma? That's Jerry Jeudy. Anytime touchdown, over 3-1, a plus 310 price on basically the only pass catcher in the wide receiver room. Come on, I can't pass that up today. They might get beat. You're going to throw the ball 35 times. Jerry Jeudy, and by the way, maybe not even a red zone touchdown, Joe. 25-yard plus. Bang.
All right. Blows through his number today.
Yep, that's
it's
all he
40,
24 and a half. Let's go.
41.
Yep.
Blows through his number.
That's under what I need. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, no, that's usually how that
Love
would
it.
go. I'm on Jeudy. I think he's going to have a really nice game here.
Yeah.
I believe that. Baltimore, nightmarish against number one wideouts. Mike Evans was going to have about 800 yards on that football team
5
with
touchdowns.
what we were seeing on Monday night. So I am not going to players as much off the beaten path.
Okay.
But number-wise, it jumps out. And to me today with Miami and Tua getting back out there, I felt you needed to find plus money, chase ceiling somewhat here. Plus 420 for Hill and Waddle to each have 20-plus receiving yards in each half. How do we feel about that?
I think it's doable, but I'm just concerned about Hill being 100%. He said he didn't practice all week.
No, you got it in some limited, but here's the problem with this one, Kev. For sale. Like, you can't sell me on Tyreek Hill and Waddle.
Why not?
You
I'm
get
getting
20
plus.
each half.
But can I ask you
I
something?
like the price point at plus 420 is beautiful. You know they want to get both of the guys involved, but I just needed some wonky wideout to be thrown in there. Like, you know what I mean?
Braxton Berrios.
Yeah, like
anytime.
Odell Beckham. Is the guy even active today? Who knows?
He has 6-1 anytime touchdown.
I went price hunting more so than
I
well
can
here
respect
because
it.
here's why. My plan
That sounds like a principle.
was to do
don't
Pat
get in.
Mahomes under half an interception, right? I was going to ham it up.
We would have thrown him out of
He's
here.
terrible.
We would have thrown him out.
Hold on. What are you
Yeah.
talking? He's throwing a pick in every game.
Yeah, but we would have. You're not selling a Patrick Mahomes.
He's
with
minus
one interception.
No,
He would get thrown.
I would have thrown him to not throw an interception, but he's minus 135 to not throw a pick. I'm almost about to bet him to throw a pick. It's crazy. He's terrible.
Final segments, you would have not been here if me and Lisa
Wow.
were calling it.
Which, by the
might
way,
happen.
right, it's on the horizon.
We might throw him out early.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Let's get a
early
test run.
November.
Let's get a test run in here.
It's a
And the
early
boys do it.
November
Now
special.
tell me again, where
Special
are
program.
these games that you guys are talking about? Cannot wait. Whip around.
you talk about how these series came to a head and what has been happening in this postseason for the Yanks, offensively, it hasn't been Aaron Judge.
Baseball is such a big win here. All you ask for, East Coast Monster City, West Coast Monster City, the biggest of biggest Titan superstars on both sides here, two mammoth fan bases. The entire country can buy into this one.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Whip around, whip around, whip around. You two really did just remind me of how this is going to look next week.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
It's next week? Is it?
There's a surprise one next week that you didn't know about.
Wow.
Well, here's the thing. Hold on, I'll tell you
on,
this.
let's
Hold
see.
on.
Let's lay
Holiday
this out. Let's lay
programming
this out.
started.
You know about it,
Yeah.
responded about it. You ignored it for whatever reason.
Okay.
We'll handle that, though. In the,
Interesting. That should be interesting.
Oh,
for,
no. I understand. Yep.
Yeah.
Two-thirds of just
Yes.
maybe we sink in the final hour, but if we're good, maybe we get more of a
Yes,
leash.
I thought it
get
was. I thought it was.
I get it.
Thought it was the full
I mean,
show.
maybe you just want to tune in for 1 hour next week. I'm
Yeah.
not saying no. But
Yep,
you know
yep.
what I mean?
Get out of here. 10 a.m., make different plans. All right, here we go. Miami, Arizona is where we begin this whip around. The Dolphins are a 4.5-point favorite. The total in this game is 46.5. For me, it's all or nothing on the Dolphins' offense in this football game. I do think they get the job done with Tua back.
I'll root it in for you. The only Dolphin prop I'm willing to back is Jalen Waddle because he doesn't have any issues. I altered him up to 60, 70 plus tonight. That being said, I can't buy into Miami. I don't know what you're going to get out of Tua. Is there any type of residual effects from being out of football for a few weeks? And I like the way Arizona's playing. Coming off the Monday night, 17-15. Yes, they bent but didn't break, held L.A. to field goals. And Kyler, I think Harrison steps up with a big performance. Don't be shocked if Arizona wins it outright.
Yeah, I don't like the side or total because sometimes it's hard just to navigate what we're actually getting out of the Miami Dolphins if Tua is just going to step in there and be absolutely elite through his 30 passes or not. But for me, I'm looking from Devon Achane. He has to be the bell cow today to take the pressure off Tua Tagovailoa, which opens up the passing game, and I'm buying low on Waddle. But if I had to pick two guys to get touchdowns today, Waddle and Achane from that game for me.
Yeah, Devon Achane could very well be back in a big way. Arizona struggled against the run. We know that. Really curious to see if Marvin Harrison Jr. can show any life here for this Arizona team. We get over to Jets-Patriots, a 7-point number in favor of the road New York Jets, total 41.5. Maybe I just jump in on this total. I've been thinking about it for quite some time. I'm very surprised. I think the Jets defense is struggling without Robert Saleh, and I know the Patriots defense has been struggling for a little bit now here. I expect points with Rodgers in May.
Well, we might get it, but I still like the side. For me, it's New England. The Jets have lost 4 straight. It's back-to-back road games, and I know they dominated it in the first matchup. But with Drake May, I still think New England could be live. They are 0-3 at home. The numbers suggest a Jets blowout, but this team is in disarray, not running the football consistently. I think New England could make some plays. Don't be shocked. Again, 4-quarter game. I'll root in the over for you.
Yeah, 41.5, tough for me at that one. I'll leave that one alone. But I do think the Jets win this football game. There's a chance they win it by double digits. New England can play with them. It's going to be a big effort, but as I pointed out, the white flag is already up in New England. It's hard to back a team like that, and I understand the Jets aren't very good, and even if they win this game, I don't have them doing big plans, but we're talking about the Patriots here today. Give me the Jets.
All right, little Jets love there for Donnie, Cincinnati and Philadelphia, 2.5-point number here in favor of the home Bengals. 47.5 total. I'm on Jalen Hurts over 221.5 passing. He has been awesome through the air with A.J. Brown. Cincinnati has seen a lot of opposing quarterbacks throw it against them. And if that's what Jalen does, he's in for a big day through the air, Joe.
Preach it, brother. I'm with you. 250 plus for Jalen Hurts. I altered him up to 275. We saw Cincinnati get abused by Jaden Daniels. We saw them get abused from a secondary perspective by Lamar Jackson. And they're playing much better in back-to-back weeks against the run. That's why I think it is Jalen in the passing attack. Going on the road, defenses bounce back into form. I just think they're more consistent. Philly outright.
I got the Eagles at 2.5 now. Early in the week, you wouldn't have got me that. But T. Higgins not playing, which means Josivach is going to be number 2. Now, he might be a sneaky number 2 pick, buy low type of guy. But if you know you have to shut down one guy, Jamar Chase, and you have a leaky defense on the opposite side, it's got to be the Eagles for me. The 47.5, I'm going to lay low on that. But this is a big game for the Eagles because if you do get, guys, what you're talking about, Jalen Hurts, and I'm not saying, 302 touchdowns. Give me 245 plus and 2 touchdowns and no turnovers for Jalen Hurts. I think he's going to move the rock at that point.
Really excited to watch this one play out, a potential statement game for the Eagles. Packers-Jaguars here. Jacksonville's a 3.5-point home underdog. If you look at it for Jacksonville, they grabbed that victory against the Patriots. They're home after playing in London for 2 weeks. Last year, they had the same scenario. They were great coming out of it. Do you think they can be great again, Joe?
They can. They're going to have to run the football with Tank Bigsby to keep Jordan Love and that offense on the sidelines. I'm with you. I think I favor an under in this matchup. I liked it better at 4.5. I would have taken a shot on Green Bay. Under the key number of 4, I think Green Bay might win it right on the number. Again, a lower scoring game. My best bet here is under the 49.5. And don't be shocked if Josh Jacobs breaks out with a huge performance as well.
Jacksonville's really bad. And I know, it's hard to win football games on the road. They're getting more than a field goal in this one. But I just don't want to say, like, we cured all our ails by knocking off the Patriots 32-16 in London with one of the biggest travel disadvantages for the Patriots you're ever going to have. I'm just going to stick with Green Bay. If I think they're a top team in the NFC, they got to win this football game going away.
Then again, Jacksonville's probably going to get on a roll here because the NFL must be embarrassed for their insane decision to flex Jacksonville and Philadelphia out of Sunday Night Football in favor of Minnesota and Indianapolis. Vikings hitting a losing streak right away. What a nightmare of a move that was. Tampa Bay and I'm on the under, by the way, in that game. Tampa Bay, Atlanta, 1.5-point number in favor of the Falcons on the road due to all of these injuries to the Bucs. This total's been zooming all morning. 45.5, 46, 46.5, 47, 47.5 now. Tampa Bay, Atlanta, Joey.
I can't buy into the total. 36-30 was last game, but that's when Evans and Godwin were in that lineup. What I can buy into is Baker being more consistent than Kirk Cousins. I don't know what you're going to get. Everybody thought they'd blow out Seattle. They lose that game by 20 points going on the road now. Still buy into the Tampa Bay defense in this spot. I think it's Rashad White, Bucky Irvin on the ground, and I took a shot, Trey Palmer, 70-plus guys. I go lean to the under, though. I can't buy it.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield's going to look like he's playing back with the Carolina Panthers today and didn't look all that good when he was doing that. And if I said before the season the Atlanta Falcons are going to win the NFC South with teams coming in with similar records today, and I'm not going to take them down Evans and Godwin, you're crazy. I'll lay the -1.5, even though if that line looks terrible, and it's definitely a Bucs line.
Yeah, I like the Bucs in the game. I'm on Baker Mayfield over 16.5 rushing yards. He's hit this in 3 in a row. 5 out of 7. His season high this year came against these Atlanta Falcons, who have allowed a lot of mobility for quarterbacks. And without his wide receivers, I think that could mean trying to extend plays on his own. How about Baltimore and Cleveland here, fellas? A 7-point number now. Man, Jameis Winston's getting a lot of buy in the market.
He is 236.5. I can't go over his total. What I can do is potentially take the 8.5, 9 points with the Browns in this matchup. They lost 5 straight by right in that number, 8.5 points per game, having the emotional Monday night. Baltimore's won 5 straight. I think there's no doubt they win this game, Donnie. But again, they might emotionally be set in terms of an overlooked spot. Give me Baltimore to win, but Cleveland to cover the number.
Yeah, sell me something. Obviously, I'm going with Jerry Jeudy as a plus 310 price on an anytime touchdown, but I'd be foolish to say in the division I'm going to want to lay 7 points. That number is certainly trashing down. 44.5 is a total. probably still look for an under. Look, I understand Jameis Winston is there, and I want it to be fun. I want him to throw 40 times, 3 interceptions, 3 touchdown passes. You have to show me first with the Cleveland Browns that it's just the quarterback and it's Winston, which is supposed to be the guy with the least talented roster than even you had a couple weeks ago.
I'm on Jerry Jeudy, over 45.5 receiving yards. Last week had 6 targets. Well, 4 of those were from Jameis Winston, who only threw the ball 11 times. Jameis knows who's the best wideout on this team, and that's not Cedric Tillman. That's Jerry Jeudy. He had caught 1 pass for 18 yards. There's going to be way more deep shots in this offense now with Jameis Winston. Number 1 wide receivers have 8 all year long against Baltimore. Look for a big game from Jerry Jeudy in this matchup. Let's get Indianapolis and Houston in here quickly. A 4.5-point number, Lisi, 44.5 total.
I'm taking the points. I think the Colts do match up well against the Texans. Played them toe-to-toe week number 1, 29-27. I think they can run it, keep Stroud on the sidelines under the total.
I'll keep it quick. Yeah, I'm taking the total in this game. That's 44.5 to the over here. I love Shane Steichen as an offensive coordinator. He'll create enough to get some points, and then C.J. Stroud on the opposite side. He should be fine against that Colts defense.
C.J. Stroud is in a monster bounce-back spot, coming off of 2 games where he threw for less than 280 combined over the course of the 2. We'll look to get involved with that in a bit. We continue the whip around, though, here on SportsGrid after this quick commercial break.
When you talk about how these series came to a head and what has been happening in this postseason for the Yanks, offensively, it hasn't been Aaron Judge.
Baseball is such a big win here. All you ask for, East Coast Monster City, West Coast Monster City, the biggest of biggest Titan superstars on both sides here, 2 mammoth fan bases. The entire country can buy into this one.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
All right, we continue the whip around here with one more game in the 1 o'clock window. That is Detroit and Tennessee. I am on the Titans. Oh, catching 12. Wow, when it really sets in that I'm on Tennessee. All right, well, we'll battle. I just think this is
for you in that matchup. Just can't get there. I will say the one Tennessee player I am on is Calvin Ridley. Altered him up to 60+, 3 receptions, 42 yards. If you're going to ship DeAndre Hopkins out, you got to feed the Calvin Ridley to some capacity. 3 receptions over the last 3 weeks. Ridley breaks out.
I think we might get the bone saw out here by the Detroit Lions. Just absolutely hammer this Tennessee team. If you're looking for a way to bet Tennessee without actually taking them on the spread or think they can compete, if you think they can, you got to go Pollard over his rushing prop. Because if he doesn't hit that, Mason Rudolph dropping back down double digits in this game, this is going to be an avalanche. Similar to what you saw against Dallas, the one thing I love about them is when they get up, they just don't stop.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch this game play out. Nevertheless, I do think Montgomery probably finds the end zone in this matchup, but we'll talk more about that in a bit. Chargers Saints, it's a touchdown line in favor of LA. 41.5 listed total. One of those totals that's low, but probably not low enough. Maybe I'm buying the bottom. I cannot get over what I saw last Thursday with the Saints. That was, I still believe, the worst performance of any non-Carolina team all year long, Joe.
It is. I can't buy New Orleans with the 7 points heading into this matchup. I can buy Justin Herbert coming off the 349, losing the game the way they did. I think they'll be hungry. Yeah. This was going to be my best bet in regards to the total, 41.5. I altered it as high as 49.5. I think this is the game potentially at 4 that goes off the rails just because of how bad New Orleans defense is, knowing that L.A. had success in the passing attack. I think they abuse them over the top, Donnie.
Yeah, the Chargers need to get back to that forceful ground game, which they didn't have last week against the Cardinals, and an embarrassing loss for them. Now, you get a layup again, per se, against the New Orleans Saints at home. If I'm looking to bet this game from a Saints perspective, Joe, Chris Olave is going to come back from his concussion. That's the excitement that we had previous when he got knocked out after one play and 5 yards, over 49.5. But also, my guy, Bub Means, 19.5 for Bub. If they're losing this game, he's throwing. Rattler's thrown 50 times.
Guy's dead to me. I can't.
Wait a second. He got over his number, though.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he had like 36 yards.
Plus.
So he didn't get over his number.
No,
he got
not
over
my
his
number. The number.
Way different numbers for these two. Buffalo, Seattle. Field goal line here for the road Buffalo Bills. Total 45.5. I'm on the over at 45. I do not care about the weather. These two defenses are not that good. And these two offenses have enough weapons to get through what is a low number. I'll take the weather discount. We're going over in the Pacific Northwest.
You're right about the defenses potentially not being as bad, but I really believe Buffalo is shaping into form. Again, I lean to the under, didn't play it. I'll root it in for you. But what I don't like for Seattle is they can't afford to get into a shootout. Without DK Metcalf, they're a complete different type of offense. And not only that, they lose high-scoring games. I know they put up 34 on Atlanta, but against Josh Allen now with Amari Cooper in that lineup and Keon Coleman eating 7 targets last week, 4 receptions, $125. I think they run it, throw it all over Seattle. They cover this number easy. Again, I'll root it in for you. Lean to the under.
Yeah, Buffalo Bills again for me, -3. That number just screams this is a Bills line. I love the Buffalo Bills, the way they're constructed on offense right now. And for the Seattle Seahawks, I can't say the same. Normally I would, but DK Metcalf not there. You can't just take your number one wideout down and say everybody else is going to eat, and then we can just run the football at this point. Give me the Buffalo Bills. I'll lay the 3.
All right, little love for Buffalo there. How about Chicago and Washington? Flip. 1.5. We still don't have Jaden Daniels props out there. I'm losing a little confidence that he's going to play. I feel like we should have been already given word. I would still say he does, but I'm not 100% that direction. I'm leaning Chicago either way because it's either a less than 100% Jaden Daniels or it's Marcus Mariota starting. Bears off a bye in a good spot, Joe.
Yeah, I'm a buyer of Washington, even if Mariota starts and Jaden doesn't. The way they moved the football, they ran the football consistently. I think it could be a big Brian Robinson day, 55.5. I believe is his number. I'm just a buyer of Dan Quinn and the mentality and the identity of Washington playing it at home. I know it's Caleb, but give me the Commanders laying 1. I lay it, and now, you know what? Watching that game play out, give me the over 45.5.
Yeah, it's Marcus Mariota, again, keep in mind, came in ice cold last week and looked unbelievable, like a Pro Bowl quarterback. He's going to get the entire week, which he did, to get snaps. But it's one of those where you're buying into Marcus Mariota and the game ends and the Bears win, and you go, why did I bet Mariota? But I'm not actually buying into Marcus Mariota. As you said, Dan Quinn, for me, I'm buying into that offense and that team as a concept at home. I think will be enough to get a win here.
All right, how about Denver, Carolina? An unbelievable, how did this happen, spread. 10.5 in favor of the Broncos and a 41.5 listed total here. I should be betting Carolina. It speaks volumes that I'm not. I want to bet Bryce Young. The fact that this line is telling you that Bryce is worse than Dalton, I get it. I've never fully agreed with it, but it's the Panthers defense that they lose every game by 100. It's the worst defense we've seen in some time.
It is, but again, I don't buy into the consistency of the passing attack for Bo Nix. It was more on the ground, and it was a testament to how bad that New Orleans offense was. Now, Carolina can mimic that with Bryce Young in his second stint as a starter. I'm going to take the points, Kevin. I think this is a spot where on the road, I think Bryce can break out. I'm banking on that, going contrarian. And you know what? The total, to Donnie's point, you'll get me in on that as well.
Yeah, I like the Denver Broncos. I think are going to run roughshod over Carolina. Not only is Carolina bad, they're injured completely. And then your quote-unquote still looks like a rookie quarterback is going to be playing football in this game. For me, I think it's a runaway. The Denver Broncos get close to 30, and I don't think the Panthers can chase them down. If you do, however, want to bet the Panthers, you think you keep it close? Just take their running back here. Like Chuba Hubbard, that's it. Just bet that number on the ground. If he comes close, you'll be all right.
9.5 Chiefs Raiders. KC on the road laying.
I like the Raiders to cover.
KC.
No, you don't actually like
the Avengers. You're the Avengers out here.
Oh
yeah.
Avengers. I think you play Hopkins through any number. They probably force feed him the rock here. We'll do Sunday night best bets, touchdowns with you as we close out pro football today.
Talk about how these series came to a head and what has been happening in this postseason for the Yanks. Offensively, it hasn't been Aaron Judge.
Baseball is such a big win here. All you ask for, East Coast Monster City, West Coast Monster City, the biggest of biggest Titan superstars on both sides here, two mammoth fan bases. The entire country can buy into this one.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We're live on Pro Football today. We begin with Sunday Night Football. Kevin Walsh on the right side and Joe Lisi. Look all good, fellas?
Ready to go.
Looks great.
Yep.
We've got San Francisco laying 4.5 late night against the Dallas Cowboys. Total for this one is 47.5. I would look towards the 49ers. I'm interested in maybe CeeDee Lamb coming out with a huge game out of potentially the bye week. And I want to see if we can maybe get some buy low chances on Ricky Pearsall. Excited to get more numbers as we get more injury news confirmed within this football game.
Yeah, I can only look to San Francisco. I know they didn't step up last week, but Jordan Mason and that offensive line, I still think can run the football consistently. Jahmyr Gibbs had a field day a couple of weeks ago along with Montgomery against Dallas. Dallas not running the football consistently. I understand they're 3-0 coming out of a bye week on the road. Can't buy him here. here. Give me San Fran by double digits.
If Dallas can't buy into this situation, if they're getting smashed at home by the Lions, got a week and a half off to try to get ready for this football game with Jerry Jones trying to fire radio hosts, I don't know where they're going to get up from, but when I look at it, this has to be a Jordan Mason game. You have to control that. Your offensive line is better than the Dallas Cowboys. It's better than the Dallas Cowboys front seven here. I need Mason. I looked at him getting 80-plus yards tonight and a touchdown to sort of control that narrative. I don't know what I'm getting out of the Dallas Cowboys, and that's frustrating me. And that 4.5 now, guys, up to 5.5 with a lot of books. So runaway freight train on the Niners tonight.
I think it makes sense, though. Again, Dallas was injured and has looked, I think, even worse than
total. I'm shocked. 47. I thought we would see 44.5, maybe even 43.5.
Like, where's the offense come from?
I think you know what it is if the Niners look good,
yeah,
they just get 30 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And at that point, then you're going to be within striking distance. Again, we're going to see how the numbers progress throughout the day on that game. Let's put our best bets on the board, though, here, fellas. How do we do? Over? All right.
Lost.
So we're maybe changing momentum then for you today.
Yes. Typically, I go with a total, but I'm going with the side. And I think the line is treating the New York Jets like they won 4 straight as opposed to lost 4 straight. It's back-to-back road games for Aaron Rodgers, the New York Jets. Not running the football consistently. They have no rushing attack. That can mean long third down situations. I know New England hasn't stepped up in recent weeks, but Drake May playing at home. They haven't won a game at home. A rivalry game, contrarian. They keep it close over Aaron Rodgers.
For you. I want to be wrong on this game as much as I can at this one. I do think the Jets win that, but I'm going to cheer on as a team. Look, we don't often get cheered together in this room. We've seen it before live on TV where sometimes we don't have teammates here that help us. I like to do that. So let me help out the people as well tonight because I'm going to go with an over, but a different type of an over. Patrick Mahomes over 1.5 touchdown passes. Whoa, Donnie, you can't do that. Minus 270, minus 280. Look at that price. Minus 114 on the best quarterback we've ever seen who hasn't thrown a touchdown pass in it seems like eons. Today, he gets it going. They open it up minimum 4 total touchdowns for the Chiefs, and 2 of them come on the arm of Patrick Mahomes.
I see his ire.
But I'm just saying, we set the rundown, Donnie. This is best bets, not sell me something.
Look, I got to sell you. I have to sell my people out there in the streets.
He's disgusted.
I'll be honest, I am, but I have to root it in because that's what a good teammate does.
Now, you see the tone of his voice.
Yes.
He wants to send that tweet later in the day when I get angry. Like, how does that not come in? And Kevin just does that.
Right.
No. I said I'll root it in. I'll root it in. But if it did lose, hold on. If it loses, maybe we'll run it up together on him. If it does lose.
Tomorrow's going to be ugly. Tomorrow's going to be ugly. Yep, everything about him. It's all about him.
Let's get a bounce back spot on the board with C.J. Stroud over 236.5 passing yards. He's thrown for 278 yards combined the last 2 weeks. The 2 weeks prior, 300-plus yards. He's averaging 312 yards per game at home this season, and the Indianapolis Colts secondary is vulnerable. They had allowed 300-plus passing yards in 3 straight games, and then they got to play Tennessee and Miami's backups. Stroud lights this team on fire through the air today. Huge day for Stephon Diggs. Now, let's find the end zone here, fellas. Again, as I say, kind of sneaky, always really the best bets of the show. Lisi, who do you like?
I like Arizona on the road today, but Trey McBride stepped up against the Chargers defense. He hits pay dirt plus 310 today.
Number.
I love the
good number.
That's a big number.
It's a great
boosted
number.
What is it? Boosted number?
Is
a real number out there?
Profit boost, Lisi.
Profit boost,
Lisi. All right.
Are you with it?
It's a good number.
It's a great number.
Number looks wrong, but I'll give it to you because you got to be right. But it's a good number.
All right, I'm going to hammer down Jahmyr Gibbs here. Look, why can't you go? Look, Montgomery's probably going to score anyway. I'm telling you right now, Gibbs hits a home run in this game. I'll lay the minus 135.
I'm rooting for this one big. I do not want to see this Lions
3 touchdowns by Montgomery.
I don't want to see them zag on you. I would be so upset about that. Give me Josh Allen against Seattle plus 160. That Seahawks defense allows a lot on the ground. I still think Josh is their goal line back. Joe Lee, Donnie right side, Kevin Walsh. Great time here on Pro Football today. We'll see you for Monday Night Football. Until then, best of luck with the action. Keep it on SportsGrid.
Yeah.
Very good.